Hello, I am Will Steinhafel, a senior in Marquette University's Applied Investment Management program. Today I will be presenting Vontier Corporation, a domestic information technology company. Vontier Corporation produces industrial technology focusing on critical technical equipment, components, software and services for manufacturing, and repair and servicing for the mobility industry. Vontier began trading in October 2020 following a spin-off from industrial conglomerate Fortive Corporation. The company is headquartered in Raleigh, North Carolina, and operates in two segments, mobility technologies and diagnostic and repair technologies. Vontier derived 68% of fiscal year 2020 revenue from the United States. As of October 5, 2020, Vontier was trading at $33.83 per share with a market cap of nearly $5.7 billion. The company's share price has ranged from $26.36 to $39 over the past year. Vontier's fiscal year 21 PE and EV to EBITDA estimates are 11.9 times and 9.66 times respectively. Vontier's fiscal year 2020 sales totaled $2.7 billion. As for my recommendation, it is recommended that Vontier Corporation be added to the AIM Small Cap Fund with a price target of $43.31, representing a 28% upside. This recommendation is supported by Vontier's market-leading position in the mobility technologies industry, their growth through acquisition strategy, which is targeting innovative companies with strong market position, growth and margin expansion opportunities, and accelerant technology. Vontier is also expanding its EV charging offerings and is targeting high-growth markets including India and Latin America. I will now be going into greater detail regarding the previously mentioned investment drivers. Driver number 1, portfolio growth. Vontier successfully completed its first acquisition in September 2021 with the purchase of DRB Systems for $965 million. DRB is the market-leading provider of point-of-sale systems, workflow software, and control technologies for the $900 million U.S. car wash industry. Management shared that DRB will contribute approximately $170 million in revenue in fiscal year 21, with operating margins in the mid-20s and nearly 40% recurring sales. This acquisition diversifies VNT's existing retail solutions portfolio with the expansion into the car wash market, which is projected to grow at a 4.8% CAGR through 2028. With Vontier's management team intending to deploy additional capital to acquisitions moving forward, the DRB Systems acquisition is a step in the right direction as they execute on their growth strategy. My second driver is moving into EV charging. In order to prepare for greater disruption in the automotive industry by electric vehicles, Vontier is investing in its EV charging hardware and software offerings under its Gilbarco Veeder-Root brand. GVR's current EV product offerings include retail and fleet chargers and its eVerse smart software. eVerse is an EV network management system that is hardware agnostic and offers network providers an end-to-end software solution that is compatible with L2 and DC chargers. It also processes multiple payment methods and allows for providers to set pricing and energy use. eVerse is currently deployed in over 10,000 plugs across 18 countries, resulting in over 10 million charging transactions to date. GVR's existing relationships with convenience stores and gas stations provides a unique opportunity to benefit from the growth of the U.S. EV charging infrastructure market, which is projected to grow at a 38.9% CAGR through 2026. Vontier's move into the fast-growing EV charging market provides the company with an additional revenue stream and allows it to hedge against decreased retail fuel sales in the future. My third and final driver is targeting high-growth markets. Vontier is targeting emerging markets including India and Latin America in order to meet increased demand for retail fueling equipment. This demand is driven by new regulations, continued gas station automation, and anti-fraud measures. Management projects that the total number of fueling stations in India will double over the next 5 years, presenting an attractive opportunity for VNT to increase its existing presence in these high-growth markets. With the global fuel dispenser market expected to grow at a 5.5% CAGR through 2027, Vontier is in an advantageous position to increase its emerging market sales in India and Latin America. In order to reach a price target, 3 valuation methods were used. This included a discounted cash flow model as well as PE and EV to EBITDA relative valuations. By weighing these models 70, 15, 15, a price target of $43.31 was reached, representing a 28.03% upside. As for Vontier's business risks, in Q2 fiscal year 21, Vontier held approximately $1.9 billion in outstanding debt. VNT's ability to make scheduled payments on this debt is dependent on its financial condition and ability to generate sufficient cash. Also, with VNT operating in the fuel pump and retail equipment market, it is also subject to extensive regulation to prevent environmental damage and personal data loss or theft during payment transactions. Finally, in fiscal year 21, Vontier generated approximately 30% of sales from customers outside of the United States. To further penetrate these markets and sustain growth, Vontier must localize supply chains, adhere to international regulatory requirements, and protect intellectual property. Now for Vontier's management team and board of directors. Mark Morelli is President and Chief Executive Officer of Vontier Corp. He has held the position since 2020 after previously serving as CEO of Columbus McKinnon Corporation and President and COO of Brooks Automation. David Nomura has served as VNT's Chief Financial Officer since 2020 after previously serving as CFO of Gates Corporation. Finally, Sarah Miller is CIO and has been with the company for 1 year as well after working as CIO of Neiman Marcus. Additionally, 3 of the 8 board members on VNT's board are women. In conclusion, I believe Vontier has positioned itself well for future growth through its acquisition strategy, increased investment in its EV charging offerings, and targeting of emerging markets. I would like to thank you for listening to my presentation today and encourage you to reach out via email if questions arise.